Deep in the barren, sun-scorched expanse of the Nevada desert sits a patch of land that does not officially exist on most government maps. For decades, if you looked at a map of Lincoln County, you would see nothing but an empty grid labeled Groom Lake. Yet, if you dare to approach this empty grid, you are met with heavily armed guards in unmarked trucks, motion sensors buried in the desert sand, and ominous signs warning that deadly force is authorized against trespassers. This is Area 51. To the public, it is the epicenter of alien lore, UFO crashes, and government cover-ups. But the true classified history of this base is far more grounded in reality, and arguably far more terrifying than any science fiction story. The secret history of Area 51 is not a tale of little green men, but a masterclass in absolute secrecy, cutting-edge espionage, and the birth of invisible warfare. To understand why this remote salt flat became the most secret place on Earth, we have to travel back to the tensest years of the Cold War. The year was 1955. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a silent, paranoid struggle for global dominance. The Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, had a massive problem. They needed to know what the Soviets were building behind the Iron Curtain, but flying standard reconnaissance planes over Soviet airspace was a suicide mission. They needed a spy plane that could fly higher than any radar or missile could reach. Enter the U-2 project, codenamed Project Aquatone.
The mastermind behind the plane, legendary Lockheed engineer Kelly Johnson, needed a location so isolated that no Soviet spy and no ordinary American citizen could ever see what they were testing. Flying over Nevada in a small plane, Johnson spotted Groom Lake, a perfectly flat, dried-up lakebed surrounded by mountains. It was natural concealment. President Dwight D. Eisenhower approved the acquisition of the land, and just like that, Area 51 was born. The government didn't call it Area 51 back then. Kelly Johnson jokingly called it Paradise Ranch to convince his elite team of engineers to move their families to a desolate desert wasteland.
But as soon as the U-2 spy plane took to the desert skies, the modern UFO phenomenon was inadvertently born. The U-2 was a bizarre, sleek aircraft with massive wings, capable of flying at altitudes above 60,000 feet. In the mid-1950s, commercial airlines flew at altitudes between 10,000 and 20,000 feet. Military jets rarely topped 40,000 feet. Suddenly, commercial pilots and air traffic controllers looking up at the dusk sky started seeing a blazing silver object reflecting the sun high above them, moving at impossible speeds. They didn't know what it was. The Air Force knew exactly what it was, but they couldn't tell the public that they were testing a top-secret spy plane to watch the Soviets. So the military fell back on a strategy that would define Area 51 for the next 70 years: deliberate misdirection. They allowed the public to believe these sightings were extraterrestrial. The alien myth was the perfect smokescreen for Cold War espionage.
As the U-2 project aged, Area 51 evolved. By the 1960s, the Soviets had developed missiles that could shoot down the U-2, as proven by the infamous downing of pilot Gary Powers. The CIA needed something faster. What they built at Groom Lake next remains one of the greatest engineering marvels in human history, the A-12, and its later iteration, the SR-71 Blackbird. This was an aircraft made entirely of titanium, flying at Mach 3, 3 times the speed of sound at altitudes of 90,000 feet. It flew so fast that the friction with the air would melt standard metal. To test this monster, Area 51 had to expand. Workers poured a massive 8,500-foot runway under the cover of night. The secrecy intensified to fanatical levels. If a Soviet surveillance satellite was scheduled to pass overhead, a horn would blast across the base, and every worker had to instantly shove the secret aircraft back into the hangars.
Yet, the most shocking chapter of Area 51's history isn't just the planes America built, it's the planes they stole. During the height of the Cold War, the U.S. military managed to acquire Soviet fighter jets, including the MiG-21, through defections and black market deals.
Codenamed Have Donut, this highly classified program brought Soviet technology directly to the Nevada desert. Top Gun American pilots flew these stolen MiGs in mock dogfights against American jets right above Groom Lake to figure out their weaknesses. The airspace, known as the Nevada Test and Training Range, became a theater of ghosts. Locals reported seeing strange aerial battles featuring jets that didn't look American, further fueling the rumors that the government was reverse engineering crashed alien spacecraft. By the 1970s and 1980s, the base transitioned into the era of stealth. This was where the F-117 Nighthawk, the world's first operational stealth attack aircraft, was meticulously designed and tested. Shaped like a jagged diamond to scatter radar waves, the F-117 looked like a spaceship. When it flew at night over the Nevada highways, it looked like a floating triangle of darkness, completely silent until it passed overhead. It is no coincidence that the explosion of triangular UFO sightings across the United States perfectly lined up with the secret testing phases of the F-117 at Area 51.
But the absolute obsession with secrecy had a dark, tragic cost for the people who actually worked there. Because the base did not officially exist, environmental regulations did not apply to it. Throughout the 1980s, the military routinely burned toxic materials, including classified stealth coatings, jet fuel, and hazardous chemicals in open pits the size of football fields. The thick, black, toxic smoke drifted over the base. Workers began to fall terribly ill, their skin peeling off, their lungs failing. When they tried to sue the government for medical compensation, the state stepped in. In 1995, President Bill Clinton signed an executive order exempting Area 51 from environmental disclosure laws, arguing that revealing the chemicals used at the base would jeopardize national security. The workers' lawsuits were dismissed. They were casualties of a secret war, denied recognition by the very flag they served.
It wasn't until August 2013, following a Freedom of Information Act request, that the CIA officially acknowledged the existence of Area 51 for the very first time, releasing declassified documents about the U-2 and A-12 programs. But the acknowledgement was a calculated move. It gave the public just enough history to satisfy their curiosity while keeping the present shrouded in darkness. Today, Area 51 is more active than ever. Every morning, unmarked Boeing 737 transport planes, using the call sign Janet, take off from a private terminal at Las Vegas McCarran International Airport. They ferry thousands of white-collar defense contractors, engineers, and scientists deep into the desert, returning them under the cover of darkness. What are they building now? Military analysts suggest they are testing next-generation hypersonic drones, sixth-generation stealth fighters like the next-generation air dominance fighter, and artificial intelligence-driven electronic warfare systems. The era of human pilots is fading, and the era of invisible, autonomous drones is being forged in the very same salt flats.
Area 51 remains the ultimate paradox of American history. It is a place built on deception, where the truth is guarded by an impenetrable wall of bureaucracy and military might. The ufologists looking through binoculars from distant mountain peaks might be searching for signals from the stars, but the real magic and the real terror of Area 51 has always been entirely human. It is the birthplace of the technology that commands the global skies, a monument to what humanity can achieve when budget is unlimited and oversight is non-existent, and a stark reminder that the greatest secrets are often hidden in plain sight, buried deep beneath the desert sand.